Welcome back to the Kaspa Silver YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be guiding you guys on how you can participate in the Testnet 10 hard fork to 10 blocks per second. Let me go ahead and read the announcement that was put out by Coder of Stuff. He says release version 0.17.0 for Testnet 10 hard fork containing crescendo transition logic is published at this GitHub link. Kaspa is about to take a significant leap with the crescendo hard fork, transitioning from 1 to 10 blocks per second, starting with Testnet 10 network. Testnet 10 will undergo this shift on approximately March 6, 2025, 1830 UTC. We invite everyone to participate in testing this transition by running a Testnet 10 node, following the instructions below. By running Testnet 10 and providing feedback, you help prepare for a smooth mainnet upgrade, tentatively planned for the end of April or early May. And these are the instructions that you can find at that link as well. So just want to clarify, Testnet 10 is a testnet version of Kaspa that is equivalent to the mainnet version that everyone is running. So before we hard fork the mainnet version to 10 blocks per second, we are gonna test Testnet 10 with this transition so that we can get an idea of exactly how it's going to be on mainnet as close as possible. And we're going to run this for about a month. And then by the end of April or early May, the 10 blocks per second will officially launch on mainnet. So we are very, very close to the official release of 10 blocks per second. We are first just going to test for about one more month here. And I'm going to show you guys how you can actually be a part of this testing and contribute to the Kaspa network. So the first thing you're going to want to do is run the brand new Kaspa node version 0.17.0. Now there's two ways that you can run this node. One way is by building from source and then running it, which I'm going to be mainly working on that one after I show you guys the easiest way to run the node. Because if you want to mine to it and also run a Rothschild service so that you can generate transactions on the network so that you can basically stress test the network as much as possible, it's pretty much going to be easier if we just build it from source and then follow all the commands that are required to do this. But if you are just interested in running the node and testing it out and basically seeing the transition happen live on Testnet 10 through your node, then this is going to be the easier way to run the node. So the first thing you're going to want to do is download the correct file, and it's going to be according to your operating system. I'm going to have the link down below so that you can come to this page and download the correct file. After this is downloaded, I'm just going to go ahead and extract everything in this folder to the TN10 folder that I just created here. So I'm just going to click that and extract it all, and then it's going to put a couple applications in this folder. The one that we're going to be focused on is the Kaspa because this is going to be your node. So if I double click that and click more info, click run anyway, it's then going to go ahead and run the new node. You see that you are running the new node as long as it says Kaspa version 0.17.0. Once this is running, you are pretty much good to go. You're running the Testnet 10 node, and you're going to be able to view the hard fork happen live on these logs here. But if you want to mine to your own node and also start a Rothschild service, I would recommend that you build from source. I'm not going to give you an entire guide of how to build from source because I already recently did this when I showed everyone how you can run a testnet 11 node so that you can test 10 blocks per second. So you could pretty much follow that video all the way through, and it's basically just going to walk you through each of these steps right here. And then once you get to step 7 and you get all the way to the point where your command line interface is CDing into Rusty Kaspa, you are pretty much good to go at that point. And I'm going to basically show you guys what you can do from there to now run a Testnet 10 node, mine to it, and generate transactions. Okay, so assuming that you have built it from source, this is how you can run your Testnet 10 node. So the first thing you want to do is go into Rusty Kaspa. So you'll do cd rusty Kaspa just like so. After you are in Rusty Kaspa, you're going to want to make sure that you do have the newest version of Caspad. So you're going to want to just simply put git fetch. And when you do git fetch, it's going to make sure it fetches for the newest versions. Once you do that, you're going to want to do git checkout version 0.17.0 and hit enter. So now that you have done that, you are under the correct branch and version, so that now you can basically do a cargo run of the brand new node. So I'm going to go right here to this link right here, which will be down in the description. And you're just going to want to copy this code right here, and you're just going to want to paste it into your terminal and hit enter. After a few seconds, you're going to see that it's going to start the node. And as long as it says Caspad version 0.17.0, you know you just started the correct node. And then you're just going to want to wait for it to fully sync to the network. And you know that it's fully synced to the network once you start seeing accepted blocks on this log here. All right, so as you can see, my node is fully synced to the network now, and it's saying accepted block. And as long as you're seeing that, you know that you're good to go in regards to your node being synced to the network. The next thing you're going to want to do is mine to a address so that you can start generating transactions with Rothschilds. So before we run the Rothschild application, we are first going to set up the mining for Testnet 10. So you're going to first want to download the Kaspa CPU miner release, which the link for that will also be down below in the description. And you're just going to basically choose your operating system, and we're going to just download that to our desktop here. After downloading the mining file to your desktop, I'm just simply going to move the application into Testnet 10 here. After moving it to the Testnet 10 folder, I'm going to right click on the miner application, and then I'm just going to click copy. Then I'm going to go back to my terminal over here, and then I'm going to open a new tab on the terminal and then right click and click enter. Now, when you click enter, you're going to see that the following required arguments were not provided, and you're going to want your mining address. So to get the address that we want to mine to, we are now going to start the Rothschild application. We first going to want to create a wallet. So what you're going to want to do is go to your terminal over here and cd into Rusty Kaspa again. And this is after you make a brand new tab. And then we're going to do cargo run -- bin Rothschild and click enter. After doing this, it's going to download the Rothschild application if you've never done it before. But if you have done this before, then it's just simply going to give you a Kaspa address and the private key. So the Kaspa address is going to be very useful so that we can actually mine to a particular address. So I'm going to go ahead and head back to the tab where we tried to do mining, and I'm going to scroll to the mining section down below here, and you're going to see that you're going to want to make sure that you put this command in there and then add that address that we just generated into this command. So I'm going to first go ahead and hit up on the arrow key so that I can bring back the command that I just did up here. Then I'm going to copy this command right here, head over back to the terminal, paste that in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and remove where it says your address. And I'm going to instead copy and paste the address that the Rothschild just generated here. And then I'm going to go back to the tab, paste it right after where it says mining address. And then after we do that, I'm going to go all the way back to where it says Kaspa miner. And I'm going to remove that right there. And then make sure there's only one single space after the .exe, and then click enter. As you can see, it's now saying that you're launching one CPU miner, and it's on the Caspad version 0.17.0, and you're pretty much going to want to let it do its thing. Once you start seeing a hash rate, it says current hash rate is, it's going to tell you your hash rate. now you know that you are currently mining. And anytime you find a block, it's just going to label that you found a block, and it's going to give you the transaction ID. And that Kaspa that you find in the block is then going to be going to this address that we generated with the Rothschild. Now what you're going to want to do is start generating transactions for Testnet 10 via the Rothschild. So you're going to want to go back to the Rothschild section right here in the GitHub, and you're going to want to make sure that you have this full command here. So I'm going to go ahead and basically show you guys what you're going to want to type. So make sure that you are in CD Rusty Kaspa again. Make sure you put that in there so that you are under the Rusty Kaspa directory. And then you're going to want to put cargo run -- bin. And then you're going to want to copy this right here, space, and paste that in there. Then you're going to want to go back to before private key and before the dashes and add 2 more dashes, -- enter. And then you're going to want to remove where it says your private key. After removing the section where it says your private key, go ahead and copy and paste the private key that is right here. And then just simply paste that to this section right here. And then you're going to want to click enter. Oops, I misspelled cargo there. You got to make sure that you don't do any spelling mistakes because it will not work. So I misspelled cargo there. Let me fix that and then click enter. And there you go. So now it's basically going to start generating transactions. Now it's going to start saying it doesn't have enough funds, and you got to make sure that you do have funds in this address. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how you can add funds to that address by going to the Kaspa faucet for Testnet 10. So the link will be down below for the Kaspa faucet, but it's going to basically look just like this. As you can see here, I'm going to make this bigger. And so what we're going to want to do is basically just put in the address that we have in the terminal here. So I'm going to go back over here, and you can see right here, I just found a block. So it just sent some Kaspa to that address. But I'm going to go back to my Rothschild here and basically just copy and paste the Kaspa address that it generated again. All right, so after pasting the address and making sure you put 1 million in there, you can click submit. And then it's going to send 1 million Kaspa to that address that you generated via the Rothschild application. And so now you can basically just sit back and let it do its thing. Every single time your Rothschild starts to say that the mempool is basically being full or it's pausing or something like that, when it starts to mention the mempool, then that means that your Rothschild just generated some transactions. So you could just pretty much sit back, let it do its thing, and as well as this right here. And you got to keep this running 24/7 if you actually want to contribute to the network. But currently, what we just did right now is we set up the Kaspad so that we are basically synced up to Testnet 10. Secondly, we set up the Kaspa miner, and now we are currently mining to Testnet 10. And as you can see, it's finding blocks here with our CPU. And then lastly, we started a Rothschild application so that it can generate transactions to the network. And after doing all 3 of these, we are now stress testing the network to the best of our ability. And that way the developers can now analyze what happens when we basically hard fork a version of Kaspa that is pretty much equivalent to the mainnet that we are running. And as long as it goes well, then we're basically just going to run this for another month to make sure everything continues working exactly as expected. And if everything goes well after that month, we are then going to see an official update for mainnet so that we can see 10 blocks per second happen on mainnet by the end of April or early May. So we are very, very close to the end here. And I'm hoping to live stream or maybe just upload another video of when 10 blocks per second actually happens on Testnet 10 so that you guys can actually see how that looks. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. And before we go, if you have not considered getting yourself a Tangem wallet, Tangem has created these Kaspa exclusive wallets, and there's 2,065 left. And if you use the code Kaspa Silver at the checkout, you will receive 10% off your order. And I also do receive a commission when you use my code, and it greatly does support this channel. So if you are interested, Tangem is a really good cold storage wallet so that you can hold your Kaspa offline and off exchanges. It is incredibly important to make sure that you're not storing your Kaspa on exchanges, because if an exchange goes bankrupt, you may or may not ever see your Kaspa again. So make sure you are self-custodying your Kaspa in your own wallet, and Tangem is a really good way to do this. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new around here, and as always, don't be average, be different.